Hello, it's me, Annalisa, with my spiritual friends. I'm back. It's Sunday, the 10th of July. Hope everybody is well. I spent the morning at the pool. It's cold. It's warm here. Our pool is our pool, town pool. It's really cold. I don't know who's here. Say hello. So, as always, all readings and divinations are for the purposes of entertainment only. I am not a doctor, a lawyer, a therapist, or a financial advisor. If you need one of those, please seek those. Yeah. Sorry, I just saw a message and I got a little thrown off. So what's new? Hi, Lauren Jane. Oh, it's good to see you. It's been so long. Welcome back. Next weekend, I'm not going to be doing these lives. Hi, Nicole. I'm going to be out of town. I'm doing a women's circling retreat out in Malibu. I've never been out to that part of California before. I've gone to like up near San Francisco area before, like almost 20 years ago. Holy shit. Time passes fast. So yeah, I'm going and doing like a me thing. My kids and my husband are staying here and they will be fine. Anyway, let's see. In my little letter this week, I included something where it was a little statement from Roxy Talks, where it's sort of like kind of talking about limiting beliefs. So I just suggested that you just remember like being a child. This is not if you had a terrible, traumatizing childhood, because I know some of you didn't have this opportunity, but if you had the opportunity to ever just imagine anything that you could be. I mean, my kids are like, I'm a mermaid. I'm like, whatever. And they don't sit there and go, it's not possible. It's impossible. I'll check in just a second. But if you ever just sit and think, close your eyes and imagine any possibility in the world and just sit in how good that feels, the way you did when you were a little kid and the energy of it. And then when you kind of open your eyes and you come about, don't think, man, that'll never happen. Like, just sit in the energy of it. That's how you manifest. That's how shit happens. I don't know. So just like, I don't know about anybody else who does this metaphysical stuff, but like readings have been like super like private readings. I haven't gotten a lot in the last couple months. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to like refocus. And like literally each time I did, someone would reach out and get a like purchase a reading. So I'm like, okay. And then I had this thought, I don't know if you guys have money issues, like not like, whatever, like limiting beliefs around money. And I realized that like when people have this idea that, oh, rich people, like they're all this way or that way, or which I know people with money and they're all fairly nice. So, but somehow you get this idea that it's money is the root of all evil. I just want to close this door. That money is the root of all evil, et cetera, et cetera. And then I realized I'm like, that's just like, if you think about money as being a person, so you're like, oh, money, I love you. Like, I'm so glad you're in my life. Like that kind of create the energy with it and not worshiping it, but it's a relationship. And you realize like, I'm never unhappy that money's in my life. So anyway, if that helps any of you get past some of your blocks, that's why I'm sharing, because it was this sort of this like, is anybody really unhappy that they have money? Like usually if they're having problems and like when people are like, money doesn't make you happy. No, money doesn't make you happy, but it sure as shit does make you feel a little bit more supported, safe, and secure. So just think of it that way. You're not evil or terrible for having a better connection with money. Okay. Okay, so I've got on the list Kay. I don't know if you're here yet. I got you here, Lauren. So I had this really cool thing happen with somebody who may be here because she's purchased a reading, but I thought it was really cool because she's a client and she's referred a ton of people to me. So I was like, okay, I'll like, no problem. But she's was looking at purchasing a home. And she's like, a long time ago, you said I would move west of the city I'm in. And I never saw that, but you were right. And I thought that was really cool. I'm tooting my horn a little bit. Okay. I'm tooting my horn. So I was like, oh, I didn't see the city she was moving to, even though it's like, I'm familiar with it, or the town, but, and I don't want to give away too many details to, for privacy, et cetera, et cetera. But I was like, when I was reading her message, I was like, oh, she was like, well, how much or whatever. And I said, I got a number immediately. And then she, of course, told me too much information. It was like, well, I was going to offer this much, which the number I got was just below the number she did. So I was like, okay. And then I saw the woman who was the owner of the house she's buying, and I told her what she looked like. And she later sent me a picture, and she's like, you were right. She looks exactly like that, and sent a picture of the woman, and she got the house. I'm super, super excited for her. So I know, but I don't want to give too many details. But I was like, I was excited that, she was validating, you were validating my hair weirdness. No, my previous prediction about where you would end up moving if you moved. So thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I want to share one more thing, and then I'll quit rambling, I swear. So the other night, both of my grandmothers decided to show up. I always fall asleep in between my two littlest when I'm putting them to bed. I just always fall asleep there, and then I may wake up and leave. But I was sort of in that groggy state, and I saw one of my grandmothers standing above me, and then I got woken up because I heard one of my oldest daughter running down the hall, I think. And then I went back to sleep, and then I saw my other grandmother. My grandmothers don't visit me a lot, and I was telling my 9-year-old that the next night we were talking about it, because she was talking about she was seeing energy in the room. And I said, yeah, we were talking about, I don't know, I just told her my grandmothers visited and how I missed them a lot. I really miss. And I was telling her about my mom's mom. She would take us for a month every summer to help give my mom a break. She was a single mom, and she worked all the time. And I think also to give us something to do instead of just sit in the house. And she would take us to New Braunfels, and we would go tubing down the river, and we would go to SeaWorld, and we would go to the coast. And she was just a really good grandma. And I just said, I was I had tears. I was crying a little bit. And my daughter was like, well, that's so sad. I would be so sad if, when something happens to Nini. And she was like, I feel so, she was just being very sweet and extremely empathetic. And I said, well, it's okay to cry. I'm only crying because I loved her. I loved her so much, and how lucky I was to have somebody that I loved that much. But I think that's a way to approach, when if you're crying about or grieving something and you're around your children, to remind them that it's okay to do that stuff. And grief is there when you miss somebody because you loved him so much. And it's not to poo-poo it and dismiss it, but how lucky you were to have that. So I'm just throwing that out there for the little lesson. All right, I'm going to start reading. Okay. What will I think of my life partner when I meet her? Curious my impression of her when we meet. Okay. Hi, Kate. Which Kate is that? Do I know you, Kate? Hi, Sherry. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna get my my comfort rock. It's interesting because the way they're showing me this, Kay, is, and I don't know, there's no way of validating this. So this is these are the ones that are, I don't mean to be throwaway, but since I've read for you before, I feel more confident and be I'm not making stuff up. But I almost feel like I'm your first meeting or first knowing of her is more of a casual encounter. It's not an intentional, we're dating. And I don't want to say it's a meet cute, because it doesn't feel like that. It just feels like talking over folding laundry or like the vegetables in the grocery store because I feel like I'm standing at a distance from somebody and there's something in front of me and something in front of her, but there's sort of like aisles between. And we're like just talking casually, like commenting on the situation or commenting on like something very casual. It doesn't feel like um oh my God, I just, you see those TikTok things where they're like, oh my God, I just met the woman of my dreams in Trader Joe's, and this is what she's wearing. And then they like come back and talk. It literally just feels like, oh, like this is an activity I do pretty regularly, and this like person moved in or they're visiting. I don't know exactly what it is. It just feels like very, and then you run into each other again, and then it's like, oh, like, do you ever want to hang out? Like it, and it doesn't feel like it's like, do you want to hang out because I want to get into bed with you and then like let's bring the U-Haul over kind of thing. It like literally just feels like I really enjoy this person and their mind and the way it works. It's not like a I want to jump your bones. Not that you're not attracted, but it just feels different energetically. It doesn't feel like lusty. It just feels like uncomplicated and comfortable. I think it's going to be kind of a mutual. Like it's just like, oh, you're nice to talk to. It feels very friendly. Again, it doesn't feel like either of you are like, let's get it on. Oh, like I can't sing, but you know what I mean? There's no Marvin Gaye happening in your heads. But it's not a bad thing. It's just, and it sort of feels like it develops into something more like over time, but it's not like and then we met and we spent the first night together and we haven't left each other since. So you hear people say that. I'm like, that's a lot. Oh, okay. So I said that. So that's how it feels. Like it feels like we meet very casually. It doesn't feel intentional. Like it doesn't feel like I met on I don't know whatever the dating apps are anymore. I know there's 80 billion of them and it's basically all the same people on every single app. Like somehow your odds are going to be different on a different app with the same people. Am I the asshole here for saying that? Oh, Devery, thank you so much. Yeah, like you like literally like how maybe I'm the only person who does this, but I randomly will like say something to somebody in the store and then everybody always looks at me like, why are you talking to me? But I just like make a weird observation about life and I'll like randomly like no filter it out. And I think it's funny, but I don't know. People usually like seem like not put off, but like sort of thrown off guard. Like, why are you talking to me? It feels like that very natural, like commenting on a situation or something. I literally do. Like people like look at me like, I don't know. And yet I never stop. Yeah. I'm the weirdo too. So maybe that's why you found me because I'm the weirdo. I'm good for awkward moments. I literally commented about a cart. I don't know. It was like one time and this guy was like with his kid, like, I'm not trying to pick anybody up. I've got enough going on in my house. Like, I don't need any more. Okay. So that's that. I love that you're curious about it. I was curious. You know what was really interesting? So when I was doing manifesting at the time or whatever, before I met my husband, and I kept seeing the number 422 everywhere. Like it kept coming up everywhere. And that was actually the address of my husband's building. So if that's interesting. And I had a dream about that this doctor I knew, this Jewish doctor that I worked with, I was working at I was a travel nurse at the time at Elizabeth Seton, which is now up in Westchester somewhere. But it's like a kids nursing home. And I had a dream that this doctor that worked there was like setting me up with one of two Jewish, like he gave me an option between two Jewish men, which is funny. I wasn't like I'm not Jewish. I wasn't on JDate or anything like that. I wasn't specifically looking for a Jewish man, but before I met my husband, who is Jewish, I went on a date with another guy who was Jewish. So it was interesting. It was like two Jewish guys. Interesting. I always have like weird dreams, like prophetic, like things that happen. But if you throw it out there and start asking the universe for signs, you'll get them in an interesting way. Doesn't mean you'll always know what those signs mean, but like I always saw 422, and then it happened to be my husband's address of his building in Manhattan. Okay. People are sometimes off put. Like, I think my thing is like, I've never seen any, I mean, I've taken care of, famous people's kids and like people high profile kids. And like, I was like sort of, and even when I was, oh my God, when I was first a nurse, they were like, oh, this patient's VIP. And I was like, I walked in and I was like, I just want you to know, I don't really care that you're VIP. I treat all of my patients the same. I take the best care of all of my patients. I'm not brutally honest, but I had a patient say like, you were the most honest person I've ever met. I have a very hard time lying, like a very hard time lying. So, and I sort of say what I think. Try not to be hurtful about it, but yeah. Yes, we're doing the list. Anybody can post. I'm sorry. Devery, go ahead. You're up anyway, dear. You've been so patient with me and I'm rambling, feeling friendly today. That's what you get with my spiritual friend. I read the house deal perfectly, and you've done all my family members too as well. Yay! Oh, and I saw, because you referred him to me, I saw the seltzer. I don't like, there's a new, it's launched now. So can I mention it? There's a new hard seltzer that's really cool. It's sold in a 3-pack. And it has like, one's a 0%. So it's just a seltzer. So for the people that either don't want alcohol or whatever, and the other ones have like, one has, I think 5 and the next one might be 7, but there's 3 different. And I thought it was fabulous. So go ahead, Devery. Anyway, neat little idea. No. You didn't. You go ahead and ask your question. You're on the list. And then Kate, did you get the link? Are you still here waiting on my rambling butt? Here's the link. And then 30% is going to Planned Parenthood because women deserve healthcare. Women deserve healthcare. And whether it's a pap smear or an abortion, for all different kinds of reasons, women deserve healthcare. Okay. So I went to the ear, nose, and throat doctor Friday. Can help me with my sinusitis, and everyone gets it. What a dick. I'm sorry, that's a dick move. That would make me pissed off too. I keep getting go to a different ENT. I find a different ENT. The other thing I'm going to tell you about, which I have told everybody about, and I keep saying it, I deeply think that you need to look into taking an iodine supplement. Just research it, but it's very interesting how many systems in your body it affects if you are iodine deficient. And I'm convinced that the majority of our country is iodine deficient because through all of my reading. I don't know that I think you're okay. So here's what I think would happen. I think my feeling is your PCP would give you a steroid, not a shot, but a steroid to help decrease the inflammation. Have you tried a neti pot to help? Do you know what a neti pot is? NETI pot. It looks like a genie thing, like a genie lamp that you rub. And you put, they give you little salt packets for it. You don't want to make your own. And like you pour it and it drains out and out. So I feel like that needs to be done. But I also feel like you might benefit from getting the steroid from your PCP. But I don't feel like your PCP will do the drainage part. I feel like they'll say they're uncomfortable, like they're uncomfortable doing that procedure. Hi, KK. So that's what I feel like. I don't, and that is an absolute hands down. If I was the nurse there, I always gave people numbers to patient relations and I said, file a complaint. Because it is dismissive. And also in medicine, there is a very large history of being, of like gaslighting people of color and dismissing people. I got, y'all, my third epidural with my third kid. The anesthesiologist put it in. I was like, it's not in right. It's not in right. And he's like, oh no, that's how it feels. No. Well, yes, Levy. Are you done? No, I'm not. What do you need, Bugaboo? Daddy just got home, I think. It's just I wanted to do that flip. Oh, well, we'll do the flip when I get upstairs, okay? I promise. I'll let you walk up my legs and do the flip. That's my 5-year-old, and she discovered she can walk up my legs and like flip over, and she thinks it's the best thing ever. And we did it a lot yesterday. We did a lot of jumping off the pool today. Anyway, so you can send the question on PayPal. That's fine. So my point being, like, doctors can be assholes and idiots. And like, if there's too many of them out there for you to like, go, just sit and wait. But I think trying the neti pot, my sense is trying the neti pot, doing that like once to twice a day. And the steroids. And I also keep feeling there's something holistic. Look into the iodine. And I know it sounds nuts, but if you start researching what iodine deficiency, like all the health problems that it's connected to, where I'm like, it's almost as if, and I don't mean to be conspiracy theorist, but it's almost as if this isn't research because too many areas of skin, eyes, heart, autoimmune issues, cystic and fibrous breast, PCOS, too many issues would be dried up very quickly. And again, I am not a crazy, but like just reading, I'm like, this is like, I've gotten, and I'm not the only person because I'm 2 people I know that I've like, it's like, go take some iodine. We've all noticed that we don't really get mosquito bites anymore. We have all like more energy, feeling better. My eyesight is better. I don't know if the drainage would work. I feel like my sense is that the steroids is the path they're going to go. And then the neti pot feels like it would help. Like, but the steroids just feels like it calms everything down. And then like the continual rinsing twice a day helps decrease any foreign bodies. So mold, dander, dust, pollen, out of your nose pretty regularly. So then it quits getting reintroduced of like new irritants. And so that helps it calm down too. The other thing I feel like would be really beneficial to you, this is all like stuff that's easy to do, you don't know, but when you get in from outside, take your outside clothes off immediately, leave your shoes at the door, take everything off, put it in your dirty clothes, put on fresh clothes and or take a shower. And if you don't want to shower, because some people don't like to wash their hair every day, if you just take a baby wipe and kind of wipe down your hair and wipe down your face and your hands really well, I think that will also help you. And I don't know that that's psychic or just mine having been a nurse, but like the feeling I get is your PCP will only be comfortable with like prescribing you a steroid, and like they'll probably say like a Flonase or something like that. But the neti pot might be beneficial. And the second question is general for the next few months. Okay. This is weird because they just show me like almost like a kid sticker with a caterpillar drawn, like a caricature type thing on it, and it's got roller skates on it. And like a big smile, and it just feels like things going really well. And I feel like this is November. So I know that's more than just a couple of months out, but it feels like by like October, November, like the end of October into November, feeling much better, feeling like things are going better and working more in my direction, feeling more positive, not so depressed. And it feels like to me, even though you're kind of like not happy about this situation that happened, and I'm sure you're miserable with having sinusitis, because who likes having all of that? It feels like you're starting to have a shift in your outlook. And you're starting to have a shift, like that shift of self-concept. So have you been listening to the affirmations? Because it just feels like it's starting to shift. It's really starting to like kind of, and I feel like you're starting to notice small affirmations that you've been putting out there, like kind of coming to or manifesting. Next month, and August is standing out for me as a month for breathing room and for feeling like, but it doesn't like, it's not so much, it's like there's not going to be a huge influx of events. Like, so it's like I'm not meeting anybody and falling in love. There's not a big job change or anything, but it just feels like room to breathe. It's working. It's working. It's funny because I go through sort of like cycles of like who I like to listen to, and I've been liking to listen to Roxy Talks again. Um, so yeah, I just feel like August feeling like really open and airy. I do feel like September might be a little bit bumpy, and it feels like maybe things aren't moving as smoothly with your manifesting and your affirmations as you wanted, but it's more about that's the refinement period. So it's not that like you're going to slip back. So, say if you manifested something and it didn't like show up exactly as you wanted it, maybe in the past you've been like, what, this doesn't work. Fuck it. I'm done. Like it didn't happen. But I feel like what happens in September is more about realizing like, oh, I just need to tweak it a little bit instead of just totally like throwing it all out and being like, I'm done with it. It feels like in September, it becomes a refinement period for you. I also feel like September is more focused on like looking for that new job or doing interviews for the job. Because you said I think last time you mentioned something about not wanting to stay where you're at. But I also felt like you weren't going to just like quit and run and like trying to find something afterwards. It feels like sort of like sitting it out until you find what it is that you want. And that's where I feel like in September is when you sort of really start putting the groundwork down to start looking for a job rather than just like thinking about it and working on the affirmations. This month, I want you to know, even though I see like you shifting and like starting to move through that stuff, I still feel a little stagnant. That's okay. Like, think about it as I've had 30 years or whatever. I don't know how old you are, but of like having these thoughts and programs within me. And so it's just going to take me time to kind of untangle them all and find my way out of the mess. I mean, look at, I've been doing manifesting for over 20 years and I'm still like refining. And it's not because like, oh, you never get good at it. It's just because there's always something sort of new to learn. And you sort of always uncover these belief systems that we get programmed in. Nicole, are you here? I'm just going to read these notes on these payments real quick. JJ, if you wanted a question, I didn't see it in the thing. My question whenever you're ready is, where will I meet someone or have I don't know how many more no's you're going to get. I don't see that. But it's interesting because I feel like whoever it is you end up with, he feels like he's a little bit more south of you in Jersey. And I keep feeling Italian. And it's more like, I wouldn't say he's going to like be from a beach town, but wherever he is, it's very close to a beach town. Like, I don't feel like he has to drive far to get there. So like, it doesn't feel like it's like super far south. Maybe like Red Hook area. And yours is another where I feel like you'll meet him by chance. It's not, or it's like through a friend of a friend, like, oh, we're all going down to the shore, blah, blah, blah. Like, it doesn't feel like, it's an intentional thing. Like, as in, I'm on a dating app, I'm really searching for somebody. It's kind of like, I honestly feel like, and sounds like so cliche, but like when you give up and you're just like, I'm going to be single for a while because this is too exhausting emotionally and I can't deal with it. And also, I think it's a really important work for you to work on this affirmation. I'm okay. Like, before I got pregnant, I was having a little bit of a hard time getting pregnant. And I knew, because I had had visions through meditation, that it was, I had lost children in other lives. Like one of my children died, like drowned in a river. We were washing clothes in the river, and I had my two kids, and one drowned in the river. And I had other lives of it. And it was interesting because I went up to my friend Sam, and he was in this light worker group I was in, and he does a lot of energy work. And he was like, I was like, dude, like, what do you get on this? Like, how do you, and he goes, oh, it's interesting. I feel like you lost a lot of children in last lives. I'm like, funny you say that. So he's like, he did this thing with me, and I repeated it with him. And it was sort of like, where you take the negative and the positive, like what you want and what you don't want. And you're sort of like, it's okay to have it either way. So it was okay to be a mom. It's okay not to be a mom. It's okay to have children. It's okay not to have children. So it's okay to be in love. It's okay not to be in love. It's okay to be married. It's okay not to be married. It's okay to be validated. It's not, like, all of these things. And like, so it's like sort of energetically neutralizes the feeling behind it, because you are still a full, whole, and wonderful and complete person with or without somebody else. You are still a full, whole, wonderful, and valuable person with or without another person. Like, you don't need somebody else to be with you in order to make you a worthy and valuable human being. And it feels like if you can, like, go through that work, like, it's okay for me to be married, and it's okay for me to not be married. It's okay. And all the things that go with that in those dreams. It's okay for me to be a mother. It's okay for me not to be a mother. And it sort of like neutralizes that need of wanting it, because every time we want something, we sort of are recognizing the lack and not having it. And so we're keeping it away from us. Also, remember that study came out about, like, single women are actually the happiest people on earth. And I know that's so easy for me to say as somebody who's married, who has kids, and I have what you're wanting right now. So I'm like, I'm not trying to belittle or dismiss what you're going through and your desire. But like, you can have anyone. Like, you can be in a relationship as long as you're willing to, like, accept breadcrumbs and crappiness and whatever. You'll find somebody, but that's not what you want. It can get lonely. But it can get lonely being in a relationship too. So shore up that need to get your worth and value through having a partner or having somebody else, because if you don't understand and recognize how valuable and worthy you are as you are whole and complete right now on your own, and how beautiful and amazing and smart and fun you are, and that's not being egotistical, and that's not being arrogant, because I'm on my platform today. Sorry, y'all. If you aren't aware of that before you get in a relationship, and you can ask anybody on here who is in a long-term relationship, that person within 6 months or a year or whatever, they start reflecting your old belief systems rather than all the amazing, wonderful things about you. So you work on the affirmations too. And anytime you hear those intrusive thoughts, you're like, no, not today, friend. I don't have time for my intrusive friend here. You don't get to decide my value and worth. My higher self, my focal point, gets to decide. I don't have anybody that I recommend that does past life readings. I've never gotten a past life reading. I just happen to get the information through meditations and visions, because I sort of I started setting intentions around wanting to understand what that block was and why something wasn't happening for me. I didn't focus on why I didn't have it or wasn't. It was like sort of like, okay, what's my block? What's my internal thing that's going on? I focused on knowing that there's something within me. Hi, Julia. Welcome, welcome. Okay. So they're not talking about when, but it feels more like when you've really started focusing on yourself and you've given up on like, I have to find someone. And so like literally you're not on dating apps or anything else. And your friend's like, hey, we're going down the shore. Come, let's go. Like there's going to be a whole bunch of people, blah, blah, blah. And that's when it happens. And it feels like somebody who doesn't live too far from that area. So it's like not somebody who lives in northern New Jersey. And he's Italian. And I feel like he can handle your fiery side because he comes from an Italian family. I really hope to enjoy my trip. I hope that I don't have like anxiety over not being around my kids. It's just like feeling bad. And thank you. All right. So Miss Meg, what's your question? And then I got Starry Sky and Lauren and Sherry. And Devery, I just want you to know I am super proud of you. I am going to Malibu next weekend, just myself. I'm meeting up with a group of women. I do this women's empowerment circle. And I started doing it back in May of last year. And it's like 3 times a week. I mean, a week, not 3 times a week, 3 times a month. And this woman leads it, and she lives out in the LA area. I don't know where, none of my business. And so it's like a whole bunch of women. There's some people from the East Coast that are going out there and people from like other countries. And we're meeting out there for a whole weekend of like stuff. So I can't invite you because I'm not running it. It's not my thing. And she just invited people that have been circling already. So it's like, yeah. So it wasn't open to like everybody. It was just to people who have been doing the circles with her. And it was limited to like, I think 20 people or something. So, but this is like, I've never been on a vacation. Like when I was in college, I never went on spring break with friends. I always would go visit family since I lived across the country from them. And I went on my honeymoon and I've gone on family vacations and stuff. But like I went on one vacation with girlfriends before I moved to New York. But this is like something just for me that I wanted to do. That's like all my interest. Who's wiggling around out there? Anyway. Let's see. Thank you. Wait, what did I miss about Julia saying? Oh, so I'm not going to be on here next Sunday. I will be on here the following Sunday. Okay, so let's see. Meg, what's your question? Are you still here? Did you type your question way up here and I didn't get it? I've been chatting a lot. So sorry. But that's why you like me, right? Because sometimes I ramble. I don't see. Meg, did you type a question? Whistles. And I got 2. So let me update. JJ, I didn't get a message. Did you email it to me or did you do it through PayPal? If you emailed it, that's fine. I'll just look in a different place. So let me go back up to my list and update it. So I went to a kid's birthday party yesterday with my youngest daughter's friend, and all my kids were invited. I just took my oldest. Is not really into a lot of that stuff. She's autistic, so she's like, this is a lot of people. She's verbal, but sometimes people are a lot. I mean, sometimes people are a lot, right? So, Meg, Starry Sky, Lauren, and it was a long ass party. It was hot. They had a pool. The kids were swimming, and they had like all those like water play set up, and they have jungle gyms in their backyard. They have a very large backyard, and then they had like a piñata and pizza, and like it was a good kid. Like it wasn't over the top or anything, but it was just like long. And I was there for a while, and I was like, okay, we got to go home because like my other daughter, my husband had been running errands, so my other daughter was home. I was like, it's time for us to go home. We've been here a long time. My daughter's like, but she wants us to watch her open presents. And I was like, no, no, it's been long enough. All right. So Meg, did you type your question yet? Lauren Jane, go ahead and ask your question. Starry Sky, Meg, Starry Sky, Lauren Jane, Sherry, go ahead. Currently in NYC with no job. My relationship with Adrian is struggling. I was wondering about that. Hi, Tay. So I feel like with as far as NYC, I don't feel like you're leaving the East Coast. I actually feel like you go into like Hoboken or Jersey City or something like that. I'm just trying to ask, like, because I feel like you'll have a roommate and it's female. What time is it here? Yes, KK, thank you. But I feel like because I'm asking like what's going on with him? Like I don't feel like you guys are fighting. I feel like he's like sort of shutting himself off. Like he's become more distant emotionally from you. And I feel like so they keep showing me him in a flannel like plaid shirt, which I don't even know if that's a thing. Sorry, I'm like I feel like, and I don't know if it's just me, but it just felt like a weird something's going on here. I don't know. Maybe it's the way the lights turned, and so it's creating a weird. Hang on, because this is gonna annoy the shit out of me. Let me see if that fixes it. No, whatever. So it feels like. Oh, I see. I don't know what they're putting, but so they're just. Okay. So it just feels like by fall is when it's sort of like, I want to say done. So it's like through the summer, like, and it feels more late fall. And I don't feel like it's like this massive, like, it just feels like, yeah, this isn't, but I also feel like you living not too far from Manhattan, like living, and it literally feels like Hoboken or Jersey City, something like that. I don't necessarily feel like for you finding a job, if I feel like that's in a creative area, like directly creative, it almost feels like more service oriented and not like I'm a waitress, but like and it's not like an executive assistant or anything like that, but it just feels more like I literally feel myself with a headset on. Um, Whistle Tea and Hound, I feel like you will list it. I feel like it goes in one day, and I feel like it goes through like an open house. Like, so you get like I keep getting 10. I know that sounds weird, 10 bids, but it feels like something about 10. So it doesn't feel like it goes privately. It feels like you do like a 1 day showing and then like you get like and I do feel like you'll get above asking. And they make me feel like clean, simple, easy, and also takes care of everything. Like, so it doesn't feel like it feels like, I don't know, whatever it is, it like takes care of everything. Okay. You've been a studio assistant on and off. That's what I feel like you'll still be doing. Like, but feels like more permanent. I have to say it does feel like it's something more in like the film industry versus being like fashion. So I don't know what a studio assistant is, but hi GD. You're very welcome. And I'm sorry about the relationship. Oh, I got you GD on here. You're added to the list. Um, I think my sense is there's a couple things going on with your knee. So one of them feels like, this sounds weird, but it feels like there's like a minor tear, and I don't know if it's the meniscus or what it is, but it feels like such a minor tear that they're not going to want to surgically repair it, but it takes a long time to heal because of the vascularity of the area, that it just takes longer for that to be rebuilt up. So I do feel like wearing a knee brace or something else. The other part, I feel like that happens with some of your knee pain because the way I keep feeling it is like almost like a knife under my kneecap. Does that make sense when I say that? Like I'm getting scraped under my kneecap. If you stretch your quad and your hamstrings better, that loosens that up for better movement. Oh, that's interesting. I do, but I don't know much about astrology, so I think it's fascinating how there are a lot of correlations. Um, hang on, I just want to make sure I get these names on here. Oh, that's okay. So, JJ, I said that I thought that the way I keep feeling it is like they're showing me as like almost like a pin scraping under my kneecap. This feels like it's on my left knee. So I don't know, I might be on the wrong leg, and I felt like there's a minor tear in there, but it's nothing that and I don't know if it's like the meniscus or whatever, but it might be a minor tear, but it's not anything that they're going to want to surgically repair. It feels like it's just okay, here's like some steroids, give it some rest. I don't even necessarily know that there'll be PT, but it feels like maybe a brace. And it just feels like it takes a long time to heal. It doesn't feel dangerous. It just takes a long time to heal because it's like not as vasculated. It's not as perfused as well as like certain other areas. So it takes longer to heal. And I also feel like your quads and your hamstrings are tight. So it would help to stretch better. But does it feel like a knife under your left kneecap? Is that like sort of like, it just feels like an ache. Anyway, so you can do a stretch where you like have your leg kind of at an angle and your foot flexed and stretch down, but bend your knee just ever so slightly. You don't want to hyper flex it. If you bend it just slightly, it'll help kind of stretch out your hamstring there. And then, because believe it or not, your hamstring and your quads can make your knee hurt if they're tight. And then, do like a little runner stretch or something like that for your quads. And that will help loosen that up. I used to get knee pain for months at a time, and it wasn't until I started doing yoga and realized that it was because I was so tight in my quads and my hamstrings. And I'm a fairly flexible person, but I don't know if it's more of a fascia issue or what, but that's my advice. That's what I was feeling. And what's your second question? Who's W? Do you mind giving me a full name? And Whistle Tea and Hounds, did you hear my answer to your question? Because you wrote it again, so I just wanted to make sure. Please like and subscribe if you're not awesome. Oh, I'm sorry, you have asked that before. Your guys are funny. They go, he likes you, just give it a rest. So they're sort of saying like, you can't have the marriage tomorrow. You have to go through all the steps to get there. It's like if you were like, well, I envisioned my car. Why is my car not on my doorstep? And it's a brand new type of car. It's never been developed before. Why isn't it right here? And it's like, well, because the engineers have to figure it out first, and things have to happen. So I'm going to encourage you not to ask about him again, and not because I think you're being a pain, but because learning the patience of the process helps. And sometimes, okay, so I want to also say this because they're like, and this isn't just for you, this is sort of in general. That's like, if you were you met somebody new and it was the reverse roles, right? So he was totally into you and he was like, why aren't you liking me? Why aren't you into me? We should be boyfriend and girlfriend right now. No. And you'd be like, dude, chill the fuck out. You need to give me a break. Why are you so needy? That's not an energy you really care for. So it's like, don't put out the energy that you're not liking yourself, receiving yourself, right? Yes, this is your second question. So your second answer was that he is interested in you, but your guides are laughing. They're like, give it a rest. Stop worrying about where it's going to be and just be more confident in yourself, because you can't put you can't be like, envisioning getting married to somebody and like, why aren't we married tomorrow? Why isn't he just totally dying in love with me? It's like, because that's not the way the bridge of incidence works. Okay. Like you have to like allow the natural process of things unfolding. Like you don't go like, oh my God, I found out I was pregnant. And they're like, why isn't my baby here? Why aren't they fully formed? Why aren't they? You're like, oh yeah, because there's a process that happens and the baby has to go through all the stages of development within the uterus. And then they get to be fully formed and in my arms and hugging them. Like, but you're not like, so it's like if you meet somebody you like and you're like, well, like if you start becoming like that, it's like, well, but they can't be your boyfriend and your husband and all of that stuff before like, because the process and the whole relationship hasn't developed, just like a baby doesn't fully develop. Like you can't just be like, oh, look, I peed on a stick. I'm 5 weeks pregnant. Why aren't they in my arms? So just remember that. Try to be patient a little bit. Try to enjoy the journey. Sherry, I think you wrote your questions up above. Oh, here we go. Okay. Will my current infusions put me in remission? Are you on your 3rd or 4th infusion? Because I heard 3, 4. You're on the 4th. Okay. All right. So I feel like it will. But I feel like there's going to be a hiccup down the road in that I feel like they're going to, I don't know if it's in 2 years or 3 years, then like do like another full body scan or something like that. And they're going to be like, oh, and you're going to get a scare. But it feels like that's all it is a scare. It feels like it's not anything that like you need to like really be worried about. So it feels like there may be some like where it shows up as something, but it's not actually tumors. It's either like just like a calcification, like a little calcium deposit or something like that. Because it's the way they'll show me scans is like they show cancer looking differently than other things. And like whenever I see bright white, it always feels like a calcium deposit. Like it's not anything. And so it feels like they're going to say they see something. They want to like do an ultrasound to verify, or like a aspiration biopsy, like where they take a little needle in and aspirate a bit out. But it feels like it ends up being nothing. So I just want to say that's the little blip. So to not panic when that like, and don't panic every time you go in, just I just want to go back up and see this. Oh, the legal battle. So here's the interesting thing. So I don't see it as a legal battle, but I do see it as a little bit of a legal volleying, tussle back and forth, but not a like battle to the death. Someone's losing out. It just feels like there's going to be some jockeying around of stuff, and it does feel like obviously there's going to be lawyers involved, or because whoever is power of attorney and has that. That's but I don't feel like it's like they're not showing me like toddlers fighting like this is fine, no it's fine, no it's fine, like it's none of that. It just feels like there's legal back and forth, like to shore up stuff, but nothing. You don't get what that's mine. And so it feels like normal fees that go with that. Like, so the attorney's fees get paid out and like any taxes, et cetera, et cetera. Starry Sky, are you here? GD, go ahead and ask your question. The surgeon used the same kneecap? Like your old kneecap? Like your personal one? One that you pulled off the shelf? You're wondering, is it your meniscus itself that's like bad, or look, I'm all for, and I'm going to say this isn't even being psychic. This is having been a nurse, and this is what I would tell my patients when I would discharge them from the NICU. I call their moms my patients because they really were too. I would say trust your instinct. If you feel like something's wrong and somebody's not listening, you stamp your feet until somebody listens. There are too many doctors. Like there's too many neonatologists. There's too many pediatricians. There's too many osteopathic surgeons. I don't know. What do you call them? I can't. Orthopedic surgeons out there that there's no reason you shouldn't go for a second opinion. Oh, they used the old one, like an old replacement one. This is going to sound weird. I don't know that it was a recall, but I think that company stopped making that particular part because of issues that you're complaining of. So I don't know if you have information like from your surgical notes or whatever, where they would say what brand and model, make and model that they used. But it feels like they may have stopped making that for a reason. So Google that, see if you can find any information, if they still make it, or if there was any. It doesn't feel like a recall. It just feels like we found a better version. I do also feel like there's part of this is like a lot of sensitivity to cold weather. Like that exacerbating the pains exponentially for you. Hi, Allie. No, don't do my choice. You do your choice, GD. Yeah. And I don't want to say should you, because I don't ever, but I always feel like the one thing you should do is trust your intuition. And if your intuition feels like, and I don't know that this is psychic, but this is sort of what I feel like kind of comes up. I don't know. I have to be honest with you that the second opinion will necessarily change anything. Meaning, I feel like this doctor may say like, this is potentially why I wouldn't recommend doing surgery on it right now, because I mean, let's face it, we always have to sign a waiver, right? Or consent for all of those things that can go wrong. And it feels like not wanting to go into it this soon, but maybe like 2 to 5 years down the road. And it feels like because you go to that second opinion guy, and that guy you feel like, or girl, feels like, just my guys were like, or female, that person you feel like a better rapport with, that's the person who you end up staying with. Sure, you can, Regine. Okay, what's your dad's name? First name? Don't need a last name. Don't need a birthday. I don't really care. Okay, that's the feeling I get. That comes from that. Ed. Okay, Ed. Let's see. Did Ed sweat a lot? Like profusely? I feel like I have a handkerchief and I'm like wiping all the sweat off my forehead and the back of my neck. And I was like, Ed, are you here? He's like, yeah. He's like sweating. Like did not like the heat so much. Summer was not his favorite season. I don't want to say Ed's a farmer, but I feel like he's wearing like overalls or something. Like he feels like very like works with his hands. Oh, he was on dialysis. He was cold all the time. Why would he be sweating though? It's interesting because I don't feel like he died of kidney issues though. I feel like almost a burning in my lungs. Bye. Thanks for popping in, KK. Okay, but who would have had like a burning lung issue? And just because it's coming through this way doesn't mean your father won't step through. There may be a reason if this is your father-in-law that it has to go this way. So let's just trust the process of why they're okay. Let's trust the process of why this is happening this way. It doesn't mean I'm not going to get your dad, but sometimes somebody else pops through first. This is the way it is. I don't know. Like Mandalorian. This is the way it is. This is the way. That's what it is. This is the way. Okay. Why does he keep showing me like the rolls on the back of his neck? Like, you know, some people have like a roll here. Why I just see rolls. He also had like, I feel like a TMJ and like lots of dizziness. I feel like this message needs to be passed on. To your husband. There is nothing he could do. But it doesn't feel like it's around his death. It just almost feels like around being fully accepted by his dad and fully embraced. And I don't know if that makes any sense. And I was like, well, where's Geneva's dad? Sorry, where's Judy's dad? And I hear, I'm coming, I'm coming. Like, it just feels like I'm like, I can't move fast enough. So he feels like he's just as like he's not as chatty, and my sense is that, and I again I'm happy to be wrong, but this is gonna sound terrible, but I feel like he's a kind of a pill, your dad. Because he's like, it's not any better over here. And it's not because I feel like he's suffering in hell or anything like that. It feels like a way to convey that he was a grumpy old man. Like, well, you said we would have a good time, and I'm not having a good time. Ah. He will find something to complain about all the time. Does that make sense when I say that? Like, so it's not to say that he's really truly miserable. It's a way to convey his personality. Does that resonate? But listen, if he has enough ability to come through and give me that much of his personality and like take his time doing it, he's fine. He's fine. Um, I heard he's in a good place, but like, I mean, if I'm going to show up, I'm going to show up. Okay. I didn't say he was dumb. I said he was a complainer. Like, so sort of like, it's not any better over here is what he said. He's like, it's not any better over here. So I don't know if it means like, to me, it's like he would have complained, like things could have been perfect and he would have complained about it. Kind of grumpy. He was very particular about things where, so that's where the grumpiness came from, where it's like, well, if it's not done this way, then it's not right. And he didn't hesitate to complain about it. This is the way it's coming through, and I don't know why. So I might be conveying it wrong, but the way what he said was, it's not any better over here. And to me, this feels like someone who would be like, you said it would be cooler over here or something, and it's not. So maybe it's to convey how he was uncertain of what it was, and it's not what you said it would be. I don't think he's in any kind of pain or danger or misery or punishment. To me, it feels like somebody who's a bit more like the glass is half empty than the glass is half full. So was he more pessimistic? Maybe that's a better word. But I won't deviate from what he told me. So I'm trying to feel like this is how it feels to me. The other feel I get is he's almost in a space of like, I'm not saying this is what it is that it is, but the feeling I get around like what happens with spirits over there when they leave here, if they're not super spiritual, and I'm not talking religious, I'm talking spiritual, it's almost like vibrationally, it's a harder, like it's just as hard of a transition back as it is this way. So, like, he's in a transition period still. No, I don't feel like this is the end of the father-in-law. This is a second person coming in. So I'm not gonna, I know what I was getting on that. So I'm gonna be really firm on that. I used to not be really firm on things. I'd be like, okay, whatever. But I'm the only one receiving the message. So I have to convey it the way I am. I might be translating it wrong, but this is the way he came in. It was like, I'm late, I'm running in, and it's almost like something's slowing him down, like his physical stuff. And then he's like, it's not any better over here. And the feeling of, you said it would be, and it's not. And to me, I get that around someone who, I know someone in my life who complains about everything, like quite literally never has a good day, complains about everything. And it wouldn't matter if it was the best thing in the world. Like, it's like there's always going to be something not right. So I don't know if it's grumpy. He's not in purgatory, but if you want to call it that, that's fine. But it feels like this feeling of being in a space of an area of healing, an area of adjustment. So I don't like to call it purgatory, because to me that feels like no man's land, the way the Catholics teach it. To me, this is a space of adjustment, a space of like, so if you have sensory issues and you were to go from like a total place of like complete calm, quiet sounds, everything feeling right, and then into a room that's like bright lights, loud sounds, there's like everything's echoing, bouncing off the walls, you'd be like, holy shit, I can't handle life. So he's in this middle room where it's like there's a little bit of lights, there's a little bit of sound, but it's not full on, in order to adjust him into that, the rest of that like growth period. I don't feel like he's like, um the father-in-law has been over much longer than your father, correct? Because it feels like he's got a been there, done that energy around him. Like, I've been here for a while. Like, that's why I brought him forward. That's why I introduced myself first. And then he came in and he said he's having a hard time keeping up. And it's not about IQ or unintelligence. It just feels like, again, adjustment to the energy. So you said he's really smart, but I feel like he was so grounded in the earth and the 3D, like, it was hard for him to see the magic. Like, anything that I do would be so woo woo and out there, like, it's a con, it's waste your money. Like, the people that come on here and troll and do stuff like that. He's like, it was a waste of money and time. I feel like he was very conscientious of or conscious of money spending and time. Like, to him, time was very valuable. Was your dad an accountant or something? Because I feel like this very much around budgets. And then Regine, if you want to ask your question. Oh, you're the accountant. Did he, I know this sounds weird, but was he, even if he wasn't an accountant, was he a bookkeeper for his own business, or was he very around like it just feels very much aware of like money, spending money, how much money we have. Like that was always very important, like, forefront. Like that's not in our budget. I got your payment, Leo sign. I got it. By this coming month, you mean the rest of July, or do you want me to look at August, Regine? It was a depression era kid. Okay. So to him he was looking at cost benefit ratio and he was like, it's not hitting it. Like it's not, like it wasn't even so much about like I feel like I'm miserable. I don't feel good. It wasn't even about that. He was like looking at it from a very analytical standpoint of like, it's not worth this anymore. And I have to be honest with you, the only thing he's really making me feel as far as like discomfort is I do feel like some nausea of like not having the dialysis and itchy. Like I feel my skin feels really itchy. It's fine, Allie. Go ahead. So I feel like that's your validation that this is who's coming through. And what I was getting around is like, I do feel kind of like, I don't feel like he's grumpy, but just like, he's not the bright and shiny guy. This has got to be a shadow that's driving me nuts here. Sorry. So he's okay. He made it. He did not get lost in the void. Did he complain about itchy skin or tight, itchy skin? I feel like tight, itchy skin. I maybe doubt because he's talking about uric acid buildup. You should do that. Okay. Regine, did you say July, the end of July or August? I'll look at it in a minute. And then Leo sign if you want to type your question, and Allie, and then we'll be closed. And Leo, Regine, I'll look at yours. Leo sign, what do you want your question to be? And while I'm looking at Regine's. Regine, have you been having some dizziness? And I say this because I'm not looking at the things. I don't want to quite look at what your responses are yet while I ramble, but I'm sort of going with my thought process and asking why I'm asking it or explaining why I'm asking the question. I feel dizziness, but I also feel like actually in the month of August, you're going to be dealing with some health issues. I don't feel like it's bad, but it does feel like something that's like, they said either it like kicks you when you're down, kind of kicks your ass a little. So it's like, I don't want to say you're going to get COVID because I don't want to put it out there, but like wear your mask if you're not. Because I just feel like that's going to kind of like it does. So I feel like whatever you get, it feels short term, but ugh. And it doesn't, that's why I say like maybe COVID, but you're having surgery August 11th. Okay. So maybe that's what it is. So kicks you when you're down. Maybe that's what it is. Because I'm like, there's some health issues that you're dealing with. I don't know exactly what it is, but it feels like I'm down for a couple weeks. So then I just quick asked about through like from now through that until then, and it feels like coasting and doing well. So I feel like as far as work or anything kidney disease, okay. It doesn't feel like feels like everything falling into place and going really easy, like almost where you're like, oh, this is almost too easy. So you might end up having like either like some fluid volume loss or something. So there might be like, I don't know if they're going to do a blood transfusion fusion per se, but I do feel like they'll leave you on IV fluids for maybe a little bit longer than typical. Because that dizziness is making me feel like there's a fluid volume loss. They said despite it all, so like even if it like you're like, oh no, like it doesn't feel like it doesn't go, it does feel like, oh no, it didn't go by textbook, but it just feels like maybe more of a recovery than you expected. Don't get down and feel like, oh no, it's like this is like terrible. Um, it feels like you're going to be fine. It's just a little bit longer of recovery than you and a harder recovery than you had anticipated. Do you have a dog? So showing me a dog on roller skates, and I was like, and the feeling I get is like being an owner and being like really nervous about like how is my animal gonna do with my me being like this? And it's like fine. I don't know why I say on roller skates, but it's like it may seem precarious, but it'll be fine. Okay. So I don't know. I don't know why that I'm seeing a dog like this little thing, but they're saying about being a dog on roller skates. Like I feel like I'm a dog on roller skates, which is weird because why, they would like splay out in all different directions. And it's weird. It has yellow wheels. This may make sense to you. Like maybe it's a validation and you see a dog on roller skates with yellow wheel. I don't know. But that's what they're showing me. So, but it's this feeling of like, it's not as precarious as it seems it will be. Okay. All right. Leo sign and your next spouse. When will you find her? I keep just getting this around. Like, I don't want to sound like, ugh, I keep seeing like a black hole, like, or like a room that's painted in complete black and like there's nothing in there. And to me, they're sort of stonewalling me. So it's not to say that you won't get married or you won't, that sometimes they do this. Sometimes they block me from seeing everything. And it's sort of this idea of like, there are other steps that need to be taken first before you find a spouse. And it's like getting your things in order, shoring up everything is the way they make me feel. So it's almost that feeling of like things aren't completely ended with the, like, because you said my next spouse, right? So I've already been married, but it's like, have things not been totally like wrapped up there? Because they're sort of like, you have too much going on to even be thinking about this next spouse. Can you validate any of that? Allie, what's your question? I don't know, it's just because it's true. Okay. So it feels like this stuff over here isn't complete yet. And because of that, you haven't done the right healing. And so it sort of feels like thinking about this next thing feels so disjointed. So they're sort of like, don't focus on when someone new is coming in, fix all of this because whoever that new person is, and it's not to say there's anything wrong with you, they're not going to be in alignment with who you are right now. It's who you shift to be that they're in alignment with through your healing and this sealing up and finishing this thing that's going on over here. Okay. Allie, your question, and then I am done for the night because I'm getting tired and I've got a really long day tomorrow. You don't want to get married where you live. Yeah. So it's sort of like to think about that seems like so, like fix what you're doing where you're at, and then the next stuff comes. And they're not saying when, where, or when, to be honest with you. It's like this, like, this isn't to be talked about. Which seems stupid to ask a psychic, like, why I don't get everything. And there's a reason that we aren't given certain information. And I don't always understand what that reason is. I was trying to explain to somebody that, like, when I do mediumship readings, like, whenever I listen to somebody, they're like, this is what heaven's like, and like, or Dolores Cannon. And I'm like, I'm not a giant fan of Dolores Cannon. I got to be honest with you. Like, she always just feels like energetically like, So whenever I read those things, they're like, well, I've done a million of these things, and this is what people say it's like over there. I'm like, I think we need to not focus about like so much about CERN or 5D or what it's like in heaven, because it's like that's all stuff with outside of ourselves. Anyway, so my point being is, like, when I do mediumship readings, like, I literally feel like I'm in a room, like, I don't want to say an interrogation room because I'm not interrogating them, but it's that feeling of like, I'm in this room where I'm allowed here and they're allowed to come in, but I don't see all the other stuff going on. So they're like, are they with a million people? I'm like, I don't know. They came in by themselves, or so-and-so walked them in, but like, they're not showing me everything. Yeah. So it's like, don't even worry about worrying when that person's come in, because if you're focusing on when that person's coming in and who it is and how I'm meeting them, blah, 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 you're sort of disassociating from the stuff that you need to take care of now. And I am guilty of all of that. We have all been guilty of all of that. So it's not saying that with judgment at all. It's just, that's what they're sharing. Yeah. And sometimes they're kind of like parents to us, where they're like, get your shit together. And then the good stuff comes. But the good stuff can't come until you have your shit together. And the good stuff that comes after you get your shit together will be way, way better than you could have ever imagined. Allie, is there anything your guides want you to know? Sometimes I'm like, I wish you would be more specific, because like literally they're like, because when I feel your energy, I'm like, they're like, Yeah, her body doesn't really like these foods and she keeps eating them. So, like, for instance, if you were eating wheat and your body doesn't like wheat, not to say that wheat is evil because whatever, but it's like she's deliberately ignoring the shit her body's talking to her about because she's like, I just want to, I'll be missing out. Why do I feel so terrible? They're showing me almost like, when you take a flashlight and put it on the other side of your hand and you see like the kind of the red glow, like a red glow like that. Um, Sorry, I'm not trying to fall asleep. I'm just trying to figure out why the red glow. I don't know what that means. Okay, you're hungry, but veggies don't fill you up. So you need protein and fat with that. So it's like maybe I shouldn't be eating wheat. Carbs don't maintain a full feeling. You need protein and fat with it. So you can get protein from beans if you're vegetarian. You can get protein from soy and tofu. You can get, like eat something that takes a little longer and then make sure you're getting a fat with it too. So avocado, olive oil, coconut oil, something like that. So that's if you're a vegetarian. You changed your milk to soy and it has helped your tummy. Great. But it just feels like you're deliberately eating other things that you shouldn't be to make you feel bad. I mean, that you're not trying to make yourself feel bad, but it's like just ignoring what you know is best for you and going forward with it. That's why I'm like, why are they talking about that? And they go, because she knows the other things she has to work on. And we're trying to give her things that we know that are valid and going on in her life right now so that she starts to focus on the things she knows she needs to work on. And it's like, again, disassociating and focusing on things that don't really matter in order to avoid doing the things that she has to do because they're uncomfortable and not fun. Okay. Do you have a more specific question? I'm so thirsty. Okay. I want you to go onto this beautiful YouTubery, Cooking for Beginners. They will teach you how to cook. To say I don't know how to do something, and I'm going to be like scolding you a little bit right now. So I sometimes get a little overwhelmed thinking about taxes because I don't know a lot about taxes, and I'm trying to like taxes I'm like, I'm going to take a tax course. Like whatever, like it's like there's too many opportunities to learn something that I feel like you don't have an excuse. So learn to boil a pot of water, get a rice cooker. Air fryers are amazing and you can cook things really cheap with those. Learn to become friends with your kitchen. You can create really amazing things fairly easily. Make minute rice. Like it doesn't matter. You can it does. I keep like I'm intentionally in a weird way, like subconsciously avoiding talking about noodles and pasta. So I feel like wheat really isn't your friend right now. But it feels like It's super easy to roast vegetables in the oven, and you can make all kinds of stuff with that. I have a pressure cooker like 1 or 2 days a week, depending on how much I make, but I'll make a whole bunch of chicken breasts and I season them. I just throw them in there, I season them, it cooks for an hour, maybe even less. I just shred it and then I just weigh it out and I add it and I mix stuff in with it. I mix veggies in it with it, I mix rice in with it. Sometimes I just have that because I'm like, then I have avocado with it. I just like, I make something and I make it really easy. It doesn't have to be really complicated and to taste good. I think what they're saying is then like it's like you're ignoring stuff and it's like there's stuff that you should be doing that would make you feel better that you're not doing. I'm going to give this one last little tip about anxiety because I think you have anxiety and it helps. So, um, occasionally during my certain parts of my cycle, I get really, really bad anxiety for like a day or two. And I found this morning was waking up with really, really bad anxiety, like ruminating over stuff, and like worrying about things that are like I have zero control over. And I started like, well, first I did like I shook my hands like this, just trying to move energy through me. And then I went and laid on the floor and I started doing Pilates moves to move my legs. And I felt instantly like relaxed. And I think it's because it helped move my brain out of that flight or fight mode and focus on something else and also move the energy through my body. So, and I look into iodine. I'm freaking telling everybody about it. I info dumped yesterday at this children's party. It was awkward and weird, and this is who I am. But I like because whenever I figure something out and it works for me, I'm like, holy shit, you need to figure this is. I get really excited about it. I'm like, this may help you too, because I look at a lot of people on a lot of things and I'm like, I really think that this is an issue. So look at just research iodine deficiency and research supplementing iodine. I am weird and I fully embrace and love my weirdness. I'm probably not neurotypical. Like I am a little bit weird. And I get like super stoked about sharing things with people that could help them. So I don't know. Anyway, I know the anxiety thing can help you. And I know like, so literally like the Pilates things are like, when you just kicking your legs up, doing like little things with your, I don't know, whatever, to strengthen your legs and stuff. But it like moved energy through me and I felt like I could relax and I was having a hard time relaxing. You do have thyroid issues. So look at the iodine portion of it. I don't think anybody really gets enough iodine in this country. Anyway, I adore all of you for sticking through my rambling. And supporting me and trusting me. But that's what they wanted to talk about, like looking at care and self-care for yourself, like actual in the physical sense of self-care, not like. So next time I see you, so in 2 weeks, please come on here and tell me that you've started watching a beginner cooking thing on YouTube and watched a few videos and you learned to cook a dish or two for yourself. Okay. All right. I hope you guys have a wonderful couple of weeks. I haven't done videos on TikTok for a little bit, but I'm going to do them. I just kind of like, I get in like and things are busy. So I'm going to keep doing those and I might film some from California and I'm super excited and I will see you guys when I get back. And please, please, please enjoy life. Go out, go for a walk, find the joy in all the little things and squeeze the hell out of it. Have a good one.